the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you are doing fine, and welcome to this very first webinar, this May webinar that we have prepared with the Paratiso team. It's a great pleasure to have you all here, and I really hope that you can enjoy this webinar with me. My name is Elena Nuñez, and I will be sharing with you some ideas, some strategies to survive this online teaching and social distancing moment that we are all going through. How to manage your new online teacher life for many of us, because I'm pretty sure that many of us were surprised by this new situation that we have. Okay, so the very first thing that I'd like you to do is to say hello in the chat box. I know that many of you are saying hello already, and tell us where you are. If you're in Asunción, if you are somewhere else, please let us know, let everybody know. And also, if you want to, you can tell us where you teach or what level you teach, etc. Okay, so we can all get to know each other a little bit more, all right? After you say hello, what I'd like you to do is the very first thing we are going to talk about. How do you feel about your online teaching? Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to ask you to, if you are in a computer, please open a new tab. Okay, so you can open Menti, okay, www.menti.com. Please go to menti.com and enter that code, 616965. And I'd like you to add 3 words to this Mentimeter, and we are going to do a word cloud real quickly. What words come to mind when you think about your current online teaching? You can add up to 3 words, okay? So whenever you think about your current online teaching, what words come to your mind? If you're not currently teaching because you're a coordinator or you're a principal or you are an admin at a school, still, what comes to mind whenever you think about online teaching and all the things that have happened so far to your institute, to your language institute, or to your school, okay? Or maybe if you're a mom and you are not teaching, but you're a mom or a dad or a family member who helps other students, please jot down your words at up to 3 words, okay? And we are going to take a look at your responses, okay? So as you complete that, remember, go to menti.com and enter the code 616965, okay? If you cannot access the Mentimeter, let's say it doesn't work for whatever reason, or you're not able to open another tab in your computer or your mobile device, then don't worry, just jot down your words in the chat box, okay? So let's see what some of you are going to share. So 14 people have shared so far. Now 16. In a few seconds, we are going to reveal our word cloud and see what are the words that come to your mind whenever you think about online teaching. As I said, if this is not working for you or you don't want to use this Mentimeter for now, just go to the chat box and share your words, share these 3 words. How do you feel about your online teaching? Okay, so let's see. And here comes the word. Here comes the sun, and here comes the word cloud. As you can see, lots of people now. We have 27, and it keeps changing. The word that pops up the most is challenging, or challenge, just like that. Challenging, challenged, and challenge. We can also see fun. I like that. Overwhelming, absolutely stressful, interesting, different, time-consuming. You betcha. Challenging and exciting, interesting. Wow, way too many words. But it seems that challenging is a word that is, you know, the number one word that comes to your minds, because yeah, it is challenging and it is time-consuming and it is fun. It is interesting at the same time, and it's teacher-centered. Interesting. All right. So what we are going to do, I'm going to stop this Mentimeter. You can keep on adding words. We are going to take a picture of this later on, and we are going to share with our colleagues, the ones that couldn't make it. We are going to make sure that we share what you have, what you were sharing with the rest today. So thank you so much. Thank you for all your input. I'm going to stop sharing this. Let's see. There you go. All right. So, okay. I hope that you can see my screen now. Okay. Please let me know in case. Well, so sound familiar? Most of the words that you shared were challenging, challenged, teacher center. I saw it somewhere there. So yeah, welcome to this this very first webinar that Paratiso is organizing. We are going to host a few other webinars in the upcoming weeks, and hopefully we are going to help you make your experience a little bit less challenging, a little bit more enjoyable, and maybe a little bit less teacher-centered as well. So thank you so much for all the input that you have shared with us. So now, I hope that you can see, Nati, if you are there, just let me know if you cannot see my screen. I think I'm doing it all right, but you know, as all of you said, this is a challenging experience, and yeah, so it's okay. So cool, thank you, Natalie. So my question for you, all right. Do you feel you're on call 24/7? I bet you do. I do all the time. I feel that I'm on call 24/7, that all the days seem pretty much the same. So what can we do? What can we do about this situation? Well, we need to set boundaries. There's no other way but to set boundaries, okay? And hopefully in this webinar, we are going to discuss some of my techniques, my tips, and you can also share your own tips in the chat box. And if we have time, we can maybe chat later live on, we will see if we get to that part, but keep jotting down your ideas in the chat box, even though I might not be able to read them all. I know that Natalie is reading them, and then we are going to share, but most importantly, you guys are sharing among each other, and that's what we want, okay? So sometimes we feel on call for our students, for parents, principals, even colleagues, right? And these are stressful times, and it seems every day is the same. At least for me, sometimes it's really hard, especially at the beginning. It seemed that every day was the same. But there are ways that we can help ourselves, and also that we can manage our new online teaching experience, okay? And hopefully we are going to share, and you will get to know a few others, or maybe you know all of these things already, but maybe after this webinar you will feel motivated to try some of them, okay? So I'd like to share with you this health triangle that I found just reading, because I really enjoy reading about teacher wellness, and besides teaching techniques and teaching online and all things technology. But I've seen myself spending quite a decent amount of time reading a little bit about teacher wellness. As I work with some teachers from secondary school in a private institute, in a private school, I see that we need to take care of ourselves even more. We should have always done that, but sometimes it's kind of difficult, right? So this health triangle for me was perfect, and I wanted to really share it with you, because as teachers, sometimes it's difficult for us to separate our work time from our personal time. And even now, even more now that we're working from home. So as I said earlier, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and ideas on how to keep this health triangle as balanced as possible. I am personally doing some of these things, not all of them. I'm not going to lie to you. I do some of these things. But please feel free to add all of your ideas in the chat box as well, okay? Because the idea is that we can all help each other, okay? So let's start with the first one. The first component of this health triangle is your physical health. Sleep and exercise. I don't know how you guys are doing with sleep and exercise. I hope that you're getting your sleeping hours. We all know from literature, we have probably taught that to our students ourselves, that we need to sleep 7 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, perhaps a day. So yes, sometimes sleeping can be a little bit of a challenge during confinement. So the best way to do this is through a routine. Let's try to stick to it. I do my best to stick to it. I do my best to wake up more or less at the same time, especially if it's from Monday to Friday, and go to bed more or less at the same time as well. So I've been pretty successful with my sleeping hours most of the time. I'm not going to say that I've been super 100% successful, but I've been successful, quite successful. So one of the things that all the research, all the experts and non-experts, just regular human beings suggest is get your sleeping hours as many hours as you can. I'm personally using, also you can use sleep apps. Now that we are doing all things technology, of course, take a look at some of these sleep apps, such as Sleep Cycle. It's one of the ones that pops up the most when we are Googling or searching for ideas. I don't use Sleep app. I use one that comes with my Fitband. There are many that come with many sleep apps that come with Fitbands and other smartwatches. You can use that. I don't use it all the time, but every now and then I try to use it and check on how I'm sleeping and how many hours I sleep. So it's pretty cool. Also, an exercise routine. I have to confess that the exercise routine, it's a bit hard for me, but I do my best to keep moving. And as I mentioned to you, that this Fitband that I'm using sometimes, not sometimes, whenever I am like sitting for an hour or more than an hour, it reminds me that I need to move a little bit. I'm a big fan of YouTube videos for wellness, apps. Please jot down other ideas. I have to confess, I started following a PE teacher from the UK who live streams his exercises, his routines every single morning. Of course, it's UK time, so it pops up very, very early in the morning. I've watched them. That's all I got. I haven't been able to convince myself to actually do the routines. But that's one option that you can also explore, right? So I'm a big fan of some people. I follow Elena Maloa from Chile that has beautiful exercises, or in other people as well. So do make sure that you get a little bit of exercise in your routine, okay? And the best way to be able to stick to a routine is to make a list, right? Try to keep them all in a list. Now, let's take a look at this next component of this exercise, this health triangle, okay? So the next one is the mental health, family time and me time, okay? Meditating, praying, doing yoga, all of these things help you keep balance, especially now that we are so stressed and we need to be graceful. We need to be okay. If we are not okay, we are not going to be able to help others. And that's something that we need to keep reminding us. Sometimes we get caught caught up with all the responsibilities of a teacher, and the programs and the grading and the meetings and the Zooms, and we don't stop to give ourselves a me time. Remember that if you're not okay, if you're not feeling fine, you won't be able to help others. That is just as simple as that. So it's important to get a me time. It's important to get a family time as well, right? But whenever we're talking about me time, you can doing crafts either on your own or with your favorite or a family member. Gardening, doing puzzles, cooking. I enjoy cooking very much every now and then. I don't enjoy cooking every day, but I do enjoy cooking every now and then. And that really, really makes me happy and keeps me balanced. I enjoy reading a lot, whether these are physical books or online books. Listening to podcasts is another suggestion that I've read. I'm not a big fan of podcasts myself, but I know that some colleagues are really, really into podcasts and they are enjoying them very much. So those are some of the things that you can also do. Every now and then I do a little bit of yoga or a little bit of meditating. Some people now watch, their mosses online. So those are things that can help you keep a balanced mental health as well. Now, what about your social life? So don't forget to add some of your suggestions. I see people that are still that are writing. So please do write all the suggestions that you can think of, or the things that you are doing, or the things that you would like to start doing, because that's another thing that it would be great if you say, well, after this today's session, I'd like to try this or that. That would be really, really cool. And maybe we can catch up on that in our next session, our next Paratiso session next week. So the third component is the health. From this health triangle is the social health. Don't forget family, don't forget friends, okay? Block time to video call friends and family on a regular basis. And I'm not talking about simply WhatsApping them. And at the beginning, I have to be honest, at the beginning, the first week or maybe the second week, I would just WhatsApp people. And that was enough for me. I thought that it was enough. And I really felt that it was enough. But then I realized that this was getting longer and longer and more complicated, and that I was not going to be able to see them. And it's so important to be able to see your loved ones and to be able to talk to them, even though it's through a phone or through a video call. So I do want to encourage you to video call, or just call in case it's your grandma, or in case it's your grandpa, or just an older relative that doesn't have video conferences. Do call them, because I'm currently living with my my mother-in-law, and she's 83, and I can see that her mood changes a lot whenever she starts talking on the phone with her friends, with her with her family members, or when she is in a video call as well. It does changes her mood, and it makes us happy as well. I'm also very happy whenever I get to see my mom, who I haven't seen in a long time. So make sure that you do that, not just WhatsApp, okay? That would be my WhatsApp text message, I mean. Now, play with your children and pets. If you have both, then play with both. If you have just one of those, either children or pets, do block a time to play with them with no phones, with no devices around, just a few minutes. I'm not saying every day, whenever you can, whenever you think is the best for you, your family, and your routine. And what's most important, stick to your routine. Make lists so you can truly separate your work and your family life, okay? So make lists and cross them out. And I've read this, I do not recall where I read this. Honestly, I really like to always acknowledge my sources, but on this one, I can't recall where I read it. But the simple action of crossing out things from our list help us stay psychologically active, motivated, and makes us move forward. So if you're not a fan of lists, start doing them. My suggestion is start doing them. Most of us as teachers, we normally have our lists, and it's normally for our work life, but it does help whenever we do other types of lists as well. So if you are a more traditional pen and paper person, then just do it on an agenda, on a piece of paper, in a notebook, on anything that you have, that it's easy for you. I personally use Google Tasks. I'm a big fan of Google products in general, and I do use Google Tasks, and sometimes I even set the time and the date, and it does keep me moving forward. Especially with my teaching duties, right? But I also include a few other social stuff there as well. So why do we need to keep our lists moving? Because it will benefit our families as well. Because if we are balanced, if we can keep those lists balanced as well, we'll have time for social life without feeling guilty. And that's something that I would like to briefly address as well. Sometimes as teachers, we do feel guilty because we are not sometimes being able to cope with everything that we set our minds into. Now, if we are able to balance all these things, right? So we will be able to balance our social life, we will be able to manage our social distancing, our online teaching. What about our online teaching life? How can we survive our online teaching stuff? Here, I'm going to share just a few things, but do stay tuned. Do come back next week and the following and the one after that, because the Paratiso team is preparing very, very cool and practical stuff for you. So I'm going to share with you some ideas and thoughts here. The very first one, expect trial and error. Do expect trial and error. This is new for most. I've been teaching online for quite some time already, but expect trial and lots of error. I should have put that, and lots of error. And it's okay. That's how we learn. We are always telling our students, oh, it's okay. We all learn from mistakes. But it seems that when it comes to us, we don't allow ourselves to actually make mistakes. I do encourage you to think about error as your friend, as that pushy friend that is making you learn and make new connections in your beautiful brain. So do expect trial and error, and don't get discouraged. Okay, that would be my suggestion as well. Now, be kind to yourself. Be kind to your learning curve. Nowadays, and this COVID and Corona times, that we talk a lot about curves, right? It's something that it's in everybody's jargon already. And let's not forget our learning curve. And let's try to be kind to ourselves, kind with our learning curve as well. Because some of us might be a little bit faster. Some of us might be a little bit slower when it comes to technology integration. But do be kind to your learning curve as well, and know that you are going to move forward. That's for sure. We're teachers, and we make things possible for sure. Another thing that I would like you to think about is to reduce the workload. And this is something that I've been discussing with the teachers at my school a lot, because remember that I mentioned in the previous slide, I'd mentioned that sometimes we feel, most of the time in my case, we feel guilty as teachers, right? Because it seems that we are not doing enough, or that we are running out of time, etc. Well, guess what? Now that we are in this online scenario, we do need to reduce the workload for our sakes, but most importantly, for our students' sake. They are also adjusting. This is new for them as well. They have, most of them, especially if you teach children, if you teach teenagers, and even adults, if you're teaching at a language institute, for most of them, this is the very first time that they are confronted to use a computer as a teaching or as a learning device, and to spend so much time in front of the computer. So do reduce the workload. Upload a few videos, upload a few, one or two forms or things that they need to do. But do reduce the workload, because you are already spending, I'm pretty sure that you're already spending a lot of time planning, looking for material, etc. Imagine if after that, after giving your video conference, if you are lucky to have video conference with your students, then you have to grade and you have to give feedback. You're not going to finish. So reduce the workload, please, for your sake, for everybody's sake, for your students' sake as well. That's a mistake that we've made, that we made at the very beginning of our teaching online experience at my school. We gave students way too many things. And poor things, they were spending even more time in front of the computer on their school stuff than they never did. And I'm talking about secondary students. So keep that in mind, okay? Another thing, and I read this from Stephen Merrill in Edutopia. I'm a big fan of Edutopia material, and many of the things that I'm sharing with you today come from the many articles that they have on teacher wellness. And I do encourage you to follow Edutopia in case you are not following them on any of the social media, because they have beautiful material for teachers and by teachers. And I got this expression from Stephen Merrill that said, don't expect to do business as usual. Business as usual is unrealistic. This is a new scenario, so we just need to adapt to this new scenario. We're not going to be able to communicate with students the same way. We are not going to be able to grade them the same way. We are not going to be able to give them feedback. And maybe participation is also not going to be the same, right? But there are ways that students can participate more actively in your class as well. And I'd like to share two more thoughts. And one of them is this: acknowledge your program will be addressed differently. As a matter of fact, when I was preparing this presentation, I really spent quite some time changing, rephrasing this idea. And I try to be as nice and gentle as possible, but I'm really trying to be as straightforward as possible as well. And something that we need to, I will just say it as bluntly as I can. It's very likely that we are not going to be able to finish our program the way we used to. If you used to finish 100% of your program, or 90% of your program, or 80%, whatever percentage it was, we might not be able to address it differently. I mean, we might not be able to address it the way we used to. And that's something we need to make peace with that. As soon as we make peace to that, our administrators, if there are administrators here, please do acknowledge that. I know that sometimes we have an obligation with our students, especially if you're teaching in language institutes, private language institutes, or private schools. We feel that we need to give and give and give and give, but just let's try to make peace with that, because all the webinars that I've seen earlier, a few days ago, teachers from all over the world that I was very blessed to listen to and share with, all of them say that the problem will not be addressed, that the problem will be addressed differently, and very likely we're not going to be able to cover everything. I just finished a course the other day from my master's class with a Chilean professor, and he kept on reminding us that, you know, the life experience, the one-to-one, face-to-face experience would have been different. And it is sad on the one hand, but I think that we managed to learn other things as well that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do so if we were face-to-face. So let's acknowledge that, okay? And maybe this is also the time to start thinking about what is the most important thing in things in our programs, because we tend to add way too many things, and sometimes it's unrealistic as well. And the very last thing that I'd like to share with you: reach out. You are not alone. So for this, I want to give say a big thank you and give you a pat on the back, because you are here, because you are listening to me on a Saturday afternoon, evening-ish. It's already dark, almost dark here, and you're here with a group of teachers, and you're sharing your experiences in the chat box, and you're reaching out. So thank you for reaching out to Partiso. Thank you for being here. And remember, you're not alone, okay? There's a whole bunch of teachers around you, maybe very in close proximity to you at your school or in your neighborhood at Paratiso as well, that are willing to help you get the best of this time. So do remember, reach out. You are not alone. There are millions of teachers around the world that are going through the same struggles as you are, and let's learn all together. So this is a wonderful experience. We are teachers. We are here because we believe in education. We believe in the power of learning, and we believe that learning is possible regardless of the situation. So reach out. You're not alone, and try to form as a group of teachers that share their experiences, that share apps, that share techniques, that share ideas, to make this online teaching experience during a historic time manageable and just enjoyable up to some extent, right? I know that some people might have a hard time, but let's try to help each other like that, okay? And in order to conclude, I would like to share this, as I said, this quote from Tom Loud. He's a school founder and director in the US, and this quote comes from Edutopia. As I said, I'm a big fan of their material, and it says the following: the most important instructional resource will always be the teacher, not the technology or the activities or the programs. It's the teacher. Okay, so regardless of what learning management system you're using, if you're teaching through WhatsApp, if you're teaching through Schoology, Edmodo, Google Classroom, or any other platform or technology, the most important thing is you. And keep that in mind, because you are the one that is making learning possible. And of course, your students, we're not going to forget our students. They are the reason we are there. But the reason we are there is not the technology, it's not the activities, not the program, is you and your students, and the relationship that you can form with them, and the learning experiences that you might be able to facilitate to them. So let's keep that in mind. And what I'd like to mention to you before, I'm not going to share the last Mentimeter because, well, we're running out of time. But as we conclude today's session, I would like to invite you to the upcoming and free Paratiso webinars. The dates are there, the times are there, the topics are there, and the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful volunteers and experts are there as well. So I know that many of you have already registered for the upcoming Paratiso webinars. Make sure that you block that in your calendars and your to-do lists, okay? And I hope to see you again next Saturday and the following when we talk about all these things that are displayed there, okay? And well, those are some of the things that I wanted to share with you tonight. And as we close, I want to say a big thank you. And I'd like to ask Natalie if there's something that that she has to share with us.
I'm here. I already sent it to the chat, Elena. Thank you very much. Thanks. I thank everybody for joining us, and I also ask them to follow us on social media so they know the upcoming events. That's it. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much. So as we go away, and before Zoom starts, doing stuff, I'd like to share this song with you until Zoom finishes. Okay. So thank you, Zoom, for making this possible, and thank you, everybody, for being there. Bye.
At first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never teach through Canvas all the time. But then I spent so many nights reading the help docs for so long, and I grew strong. I learned how to get along, and so I'm back. The students are gone, as all my colleagues try to figure out how they're gonna get along. I should have kept up with the tech, not skipped that class on course design. If I'd have known for just 1 second, I'd be teaching all online. Go now, go, leave me alone. I've got to figure out just how to lecture using Panopto. You gave me 2 days to adjust, to move everything online. Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh, no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to Zoom, I know I'll be alive. Oh, my students still will learn, and my paychecks I will earn. I'll survive. I will survive. Hey, it took all the strength I had not to lay down and die. Kept trying hard to mend the pieces of my syllabi, and I spent oh so many nights just feeling sorry for myself. I used to cry, but now I hold my head up high, and you'll see me teaching on Zoom. But just don't cough into the mic, or every eye will be on you. I can't hear you, you're on mute. Your camera's black, are you still there? We got some glitches to work out, but I know my grading scheme is fair. Oh, now go, walk out the door, trying to get this lecture done, and I'm already on take 4. Now the network has gone down, and I'm all out of wine. Do you think I'll crumble? Do you think I'll lay down and die? Oh, no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to Zoom, I know I'll be alive. Oh, my students still will learn, and my paychecks I will earn.